All right, I'm going to be straight with you right now. This video here is going to be a trial by fire. This is either going to be a really good idea or a really dumb idea. I've had this idea that I've been wanting to try because I actually need one of these things. Have you ever seen those really cool lawnmower lifts they make that they got a platform you roll your lawnmower up on? You can pick it up like so high. I really need one of those. Now I'm thinking, man, those things are kind of pricey. I've looked at some of those, like, man, some of those are $400 or $500 for something decent anyway. Well, my idea is I picked up this old bumper jack here in an auction. I gave 20 bucks for this thing. And I'm thinking, why couldn't I just build a platform and put on this guy right here? And I could make this strong enough where it could pick up something heavier than a lawnmower. Like, say, I could throw a 2-stage snowblower on it even, or a rototiller. I mean, those that don't know, these jacks here were used back in the 60s and 70s for picking up the front bumpers on cars. Or I suppose you could even do the back bumper too if they were heavy duty enough. This one here was built, I'm guessing, in the early 70s. It says Fleet on it, so I don't know if Fleet was an actual company out there or not. Any of those old time automotive guys out there, you ever hear of this brand? Yeah, if you could leave a comment down below and tell me what this is. Tell me if this is a legitimate company. Yeah, I'd like to know. So let's go ahead and get started on this. This is either going to be a success or this is going to be a bad idea. Well, the first thing I got to do is I got to get these lift pads off of this. They slide out like so. Yeah, they got a drift pin on there that holds them in there. So I'll go ahead and get those knocked out here. That'll be the first order of operations on this. Oh, that one come off easier than what I thought it would. Set that to the side. See if I get just as lucky on this side. Well, that one's moving. That's good. That one come off. I was expecting those to be kind of a nuisance to get off these, in all honesty. See, that's another thing too on this little project. That's, I'm gonna admit, I don't have a drawing or schematic on this, so how I'm putting this together is just kind of up here in my head. So maybe that's a bad idea in a way, going at something like this with no plan, but that's what makes it fun, right? Well, next thing I'm gonna have to do is I got some steel out back. I'll go grab that, and so I'm going to start building a cage to go around the front of this. So this is a steel I'm going to be working with. This is just some 3-inch 10-gauge steel. I'm going to start cutting this up and using this to build the framework to go on the front of that. So my thought on this is I'm going to take and cut that angle iron 10-gauge down, and I'm going to build a platform coming out on front of this. Now what I'm thinking is, well, most cases your snow blowers are 24. You'll get a 29 or even a 30 once in a while. So I'm going to make the platform on this 30 inches wide. So that would put it, that wouldn't be too bad right there. Wouldn't take up too much room if I did it like that, had that platform coming where it's set right on top of this. Yeah, I like that idea. That would work great, actually. Now, your standard push mowers are going to be 22 inches wide, so that'd accommodate that. So now the lengthwise, now snowblower lengthwise, I'm going to need at least 36 inches, 3 feet on that. So if I did that 36 feet, well, That would put that out there a little bit, but it's still doable. That'd be fine. Because, you know, even if I took and I did a push mower and say I dropped this to, well, say 32 inches, that would be sufficient for that to put a push mower on there. In most cases, push mowers, lengthwise, they're going to be about 30 inches, 32 in a lot of them. So I'm going to make this platform 36 inches deep. So we're going to do a 30 by 36. So I'll go ahead and get the chop saw out and start cutting this up and welding this together, and then we'll have to figure out how to attach it on this cart. See, that's another thing you got to think about too when you're doing this. This thing is pretty stout and heavy. You don't want to put something on that hangs out too far, right? That could, you know, tip this over. But I think it would have a hard time doing that because it's got this heavy framework that comes out on it. So that's coming out about 19 inches. So that's a pretty big foot right now to stop that. So I think we're going to be okay. Well, let's cut some metal. Probably got to change my wheel out of this one. There's our 30-inch pieces. Now I got to do the 36-inch cuts. All right, well, that's the framework cut. On to the next step. See what else we can come with. See what else we got to put together to make this happen. Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to have a blueprint in a way when I'm doing this. This so I can look at a picture. It's like I'm kind of coming up with this as I go along with it. That's the God's honest truth here. Okay, I'll start on this framework. What I ended up doing here is originally I was going to set it on this flat piece right here, and I wanted to get it up taller to match the height of this, so you know it's a little more comfortable standing up, you know, and working on a mower or whatever you want, so you're more at a bench height on this. So I actually raised this up 8 inches right here to accommodate that. I'm actually using 2 welders on this. I got my iron Duke, that's my go-to, but I thought this for the heck of it, I'm gonna pull out my old Lincoln 225. I haven't welded with this thing in 20 years, and I thought, well, wouldn't hurt it to get it out and use it once in a while, right? So on to the next step. Now we gotta start connecting the frame and the front on it. I know a lot of y'all out there don't like welding with those old Lincoln stick welders or the 225s. Yeah, I know we all used that back in high school, but you know what? They were a good welder back in the day, and I don't mind welding with them from time to time. You know, my Iron Duke is definitely a lot faster, which is one of the reasons why I went to that, you know, for speed. But yeah, I don't mind using a Lincoln for the 225 for nostalgic purposes. Kind of like this little guy right here. It's nostalgic. Okay. Now, oh yeah. So now what I'm thinking, because the way I did this, instead of having it come way out right here, I can kind of take and offset this right now. I'm going to have to lower this thing down and see what's the furthest I can go before I hit the frame of the jack when I set this down to its lowest point. So that's going to be another question that we're going to have to solve right now, because definitely the further in I have this platform, the more stable it's going to be. Well, I'm starting to get the framework put together on this. I can honestly tell you, once I started doing more of this with my arc welder, I remembered why I got away from it in the first place. I mean, an arc welder does work, but it is more work welding, and it is definitely more messier. You figure by the time you take and chip all the shale off your welds and brush it, and if you have to go over it again because there's some porosities in it, and yeah, it's a MIG welder was definitely a great invention, but I know not everybody has a MIG welder at home, so that's why I'm going this approach with it, and I'm going to use the MIG welder mainly just for tacking stuff together as I'm building this. So I'll go ahead and do some more welding here on this. Okay, well, here's our frame starting to come together. As you can see, I ran my post up there and it's all tied together, and as you can see, you can weld with a stick welder. It's just takes more time, as I said, and it definitely helps. The cleaner you have your metal for welding, the easier and cleaner of a weld you're gonna get. But this is a thing I got to work on right now. As you can see, it's kind of springy, so I'm gonna have to make a support that goes from this and connects down to that cross piece right here, so it has some good solid support on it. That way it's not going to rock up and down when you're working on something on it. That would be kind of annoying. Know what I mean? Well, I'm at a stopping point right now for the day on this. I need to go out back and go through the scrap pile and find some more scrap pieces of steel to put together to do this, and it's pitch black outside. It's dark outside, so we'll come back to this tomorrow, do some more damage with it. I got some pieces cut here for supports on this platform. What I end up finding in my scrap pile out back, these are just some old utility shells like you hang on a wall in the barn. These are pretty doggone strong. So I figured I'd cut these and weld these on, and also too I had to get a piece of square tubing to put up front to close this gap on here, so there's a little more support up here. So next process here is this, getting all this stuff welded and tacked in, and then on to the next step. But overall, it's starting to come together as a platform. I'm happy how it's starting to turn out, so we'll build some more and make whatever adjustments we need to. All right, well, I got all this framework welded in on this table now. I'll bring you guys over here in a second to look at how I did this. This is all tacked in here. I started out doing like a tic-tac-toe thing. If you're wondering why I put some extra braces here, well, that's because if I put a snowblower on here, that's more than likely where most snowblowers, your tires are gonna sit. And I'm thinking I'm going to use a mesh platform to put on there, so you know, water and stuff can drip down on it and it doesn't get the bed all wet if I'm working on stuff in the winter, or vice versa, you know, scraping a lawnmower, all that falls down that don't pile up. Well, the next step on this right now is unfortunately going to be the not so fun part. I'm going to have to go through and do some wire wheeling and cleaning on here and get this cleaned up, and go through and weld everything up on here, all the tack welds, put nice beads down and make this more finished than what it is. We got a rough idea here. So far, I'm pretty happy how this is coming together. It's, you know, it's starting to look like the picture I have in my head to do this. I'm even adding some different things as we go along with it. One thing I might have to take in consideration when this is all the way down, how much of a pop-up it's going to be to put a lawnmower on. I might have to make some little mini fold down ramps or something that can drop down to roll a machine up on here. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there or not, but I'm going to go ahead and probably be another at least an hour's worth of welding on this and cleaning, so we'll see you when I finish with this. Well, after about 45 minutes of welding and tacking everything up, I got all this welded up and supported good. So it's come out pretty decent. Like I said, I've done 90% of this with my arc welder, and I just use the MIG to tack stuff up here and there just to make things easier. You could use the stick welder to tack stuff, but like I said, with a arc welder, it's definitely slower. As you can see in the shop here, it's kind of smoky from that. That's another thing about the arc welder that I can't stand, is the smoke that they leave. Well, next thing we got to do is we got to put our platform on here. So this is what I got. I'm going to put on this. I've got this diamond, kind of like a diamond mesh that I'm going to tack down here and weld down. Then I'll just take a torch and zip all the excess off around here. So I'm going to take and start tacking this down here. Okay. Now to tack this down, I'm going to use my MIG to tack this. I think the MIG would be a little bit easier for this part of it. After this is tacked down, then I'll come along here with my torch and zip all the excess off of it. Okay, I'm going to go grab my torch here and zip all this off now. Then I'll come back and finish tacking all this down, and they'll be finished on this end of it. Now this is a reason why I want to use the torch to zip this off, because when you cut this, it won't leave a sharp edge. Well, that mesh is all on here and welded and tacked down on here good. So yeah, this thing is coming together like I envisioned it to. Yeah, this is working out pretty good so far. Let's do our first test here. I'll take and put a lawnmower on here and pick this up. All right, put this lawn boy up on here. This is going to be a will it run coming soon anyway. Now you see the height difference on here. This is all the way down, and let me check here. With this thing all the way down, the top of that ramp is 14 inches above. So I would have to come up with some ramps to put on this thing, make some. But the thing is, obviously the more weight you put out on this end of it right here, it's going to make it more easier to tip, you know what I'm saying? I got some old car ramps actually that would probably work perfect if I was going to put something on there, just butt them up against there and just drive it up on there. But unless I got some aluminum ramps, that actually might be what I do. I think I got some aluminum ramps out back that I could take and cut down, and I could just take and put right up here if I was going to run something on it, you know. Might have to revisit that. All right. See how this goes. Going up rather nice. Might be another upgrade. Possibly have to do this later on down the road. Get a pneumatic cylinder to put in here with a foot pedal. I could just hook air to it and zoop, zoop. That'd be kind of cool. But even with a manual pump, this is better than what I had before to do this. Nothing. Now I'm picking this thing up all the way. She's not wanting to tip. That's good. All right, that's pretty much all the way there. This is a pretty good working height right here. Just exactly like I wanted. So it's easy to work on this thing and you're not bending over. Let's see. It's not tippy at all, so that's good. Well, the lawnmower is a success. So let's try a 2-stage snowblower on and see how this does. I'm curious on this if that one's going to be a little more tippy. See, I might have to extend the bottom foot on it to come out maybe another foot or so if I have to, if this thing is going to be tippy with a 2-stage snowblower. Yeah, it's all trial and error. Oh, we'll let this guy down. Have to oil that up a little bit, eh? Come on, Bessie. Yeah, those rollers need to be... Yeah, those rollers need to be oiled up a little bit on here, right? But hey, that's all right. All right, let's try this 2-stage snowblower. This will be definitely where you need a ramp to do this. All right, she's on here. Let's try this guy out. So far, so good. It's not tippy. Wow. I was a little, I'm going to say, I was a little nervous about that maybe with the weight of the snowblower being the engine's further back on them, that it might go that way. It'll go all the way up with it again, just like the lawnmower. All right. Well, there she be. This is just with a little 5-horse snowblower on it. Check this out. It's not tippy. Wow. Pretty good. And I'm at the height. If I want to work on this up here fairly easy and not bend over, I can. All right. I'm liking it. Well, let's see how well this one goes down. All right. Definitely have to use some ramps for a snowblower. All right. Well, so far so good. This little project here it's turning out to be more of a success than a bad idea like I wondered. I'm going to have to come back to the ramps on that, and I'll have to use this more on a day-to-day basis to figure out what's going to work out best for me. If I can just get by with the car ramps, if that gets to be too much of a hassle or a nuisance, then what my thought is, I'll take and build a barrel hinge up there in the front that I can get some aluminum ramps that can slide back and forth on that barrel hinge to accommodate different wheel spans of lawnmowers, snowblowers, and rototillers. But we'll just see how that goes. But right now, we can't build all this and just have it look like something we threw together. So I'm going to go through and degrease this thing, get this all cleaned up, and man, we're going to throw some paint on it. Why not, right? Well, I got this thing all degreased, and I just got to say, this thing cleaned up really well on this thing. I'm impressed how this came up. And I even can answer the question I asked earlier, who made this Fleet brand piece of shop equipment right here? Well, once I got some of the grease and grime off of this thing, well, I found out who that was. Check this out. This was sold by Napa back in the day. Now, I'm not able to find an exact date on this, but I'm guessing this was made in the mid-70s probably, just by the color. But what I'm going to do is, this thing really cleaned up really well on this, you know. It's like, yeah, this has got some nostalgic to it that I kind of want to keep the way it is. So what I'm going to do, I was considering repainting this whole thing, but after cleaning this up and see how decent this looks, and it's got that old look to it, you know, I really don't want to change that. So what I'm going to do, what I've decided to do on this is, obviously I'm going to repaint this whole bed that we just built. So that looks good. And I think I'm just going to paint the wheel hubs on this to clean it up, and I'm going to kind of, you know, leave it as close to the original like this as I can, because yeah, good luck trying to find that shade of orange to spot this in. Yeah, Chevy orange is going to be too bright. Yeah, that's not going to work. Alice Chalmers orange, not even close. That is definitely an old shade of orange right there. Well, we'll go ahead and I'll start painting on this and getting this part done, touching this thing up, and I'll show you how it turns out when I'm finished with it. Well, that's going to wrap it up here on this little project of this affordable lawnmower lift that I just built here. Yeah, this definitely turned out rather well. I'm quite pleased with this. It works good, and as you saw, it picks a lawnmower and a snowblower up no problem. Now, as far as how much money do I have in this little project right here, well, I paid 20 bucks for this, okay, in an auction. And I already had a lot of this material for this, the metal I had. And as far as the spray paint, I just threw a flat satin black paint on this right now, and this kind of cleaned it up. I already had the spray paint. So I guess really in all actuality, I had 20 bucks in building this thing, and just probably about, well, I'd have to say I've probably got about maybe 3 hours of time in this, give or take. I'll start using this thing and, determine if I'm going to build a ramp that goes on the front of it, just make things easier to load. If not, I can use my car ramps in the meantime, but I think that'll be just fine doing it that way. But if I get tired of messing with it, well, I can always build a ramp, right? So thanks for tuning in and joining me on this little adventure, this little building project here. Coming up in our next video, well, we have that 62 Simplicity Wonder Boy we're working on. We got the parts all sandblasted on it. We can start putting that back together and doing some metal work on that. Still got that 1940 Ford 9N. Need to get the front end put back on that. We got lots to do on this channel, but unfortunately, not a whole lot of time to get it done. Such is the story of life, right? We'll see you in our next video. Take care.